From here, we want to take our diffuse map and generate our other maps, which should be pretty easy to do. We can just make sure to create them on top of the diffuse map so everything lines up properly. But making a reflection map and a bump map is probably just a simple layers adjustment, or levels adjustment, I should say. If you go to Layer, New Adjustment Layer, Levels, you can see that creates a new level here, or a new layer here with levels adjustments in it. And all we need to do, actually we do need, first let's do this. So our diffuse is here, and we can select it all and do Control G minus the background. So select everything but the background and say Control G and name it diffuse. And then we can use our handy command Control Alt Shift E and jump everything to a new layer. So it basically took everything in that folder, collapsed it, and made a new layer out of it. And now we will take this and desaturate it, and then we'll do our levels in order to get our reflection map first. We'll do that. So reflection map should be around, well, what we want to do is get some of those deeper grains in the wood to reflect less and get the tabletop to reflect a lot more. So we want to get a lot of contrast in there to kind of differentiate between those two areas. But then we don't want it reflecting like a mirror, which this would right now because it's bright white. Let's try and get like this. So it's all about just getting the levels correct. I think right about there, and then take your overall white output and bring it way down so that the maximum reflection is gray now instead of white. And that should be a good start for us on the reflection map. Yeah, that's pretty good. And of course that can be used for the bump map too. Let's do a different levels for the bump map. Let's just jump this one to a new layer, Control J, and turn this one off. Okay, and for this one we'll adjust it slightly so that we can have full white and full black on it. So that'll be our bump map. Now for our glossy map, we're going to use a tileable grunge map. So it won't have to line up with the rest of this. In fact, we don't want it to line up with the rest of this. So we'll do that one later. But these are our three main maps out of here, and they're ready to be exported like this. So bump like that, reflection like that, and diffuse like that. So save those maps out, and then we'll put them onto our buffet. One other thing I should note is that in the newer versions of Photoshop, including this one that I'm using, you can actually generate a bump map by going to Filter, 3D, Generate Bump Map, and a normal map. Bump map is what we're going to use here, and you'll see it'll bring up a little sphere and show us how much bump is going on right there. Okay, so that actually looks significantly different than what we generated. That's because it's getting too much bump in various different areas that we don't want it in. So adjusting these sliders will change that. So that's the low, the high slider. So we want a lot more detail in the high areas. Yes. We want a lot less bump, like that maybe. The scale we want down. Blur we want to be very little, 0.2. Okay, so with this particular texture, I don't think this bump map worked very well, and we could tweak that more and more. But a lot of times it is quite useful. What I don't like about this one is that I lose all the fine detail of that little tiny grain. So that's no good in this case. But that tool is very useful very often, so it's nice that they've added that. And actually the normal tool is actually quite useful too if you're exporting to VR or a real-time engine of any kind, things like that. So keep those in mind as additional tools that you can use.